Growing up, one of my favourite TV shows was Captain Planet. A superhero who saved the world and sent the message that you can save the world too. It ran for 6 seasons with 113 episodes.
And I watched every single one because I want to save the world. I live on that.
So what lessons did we learn from Captain Planet? And more importantly, did it work?
Our world is in peril.
In 1962, Rachel Carson released the book Silent Spring. It highlighted the environmental problems caused by synthetic pesticides, a byproduct of military funding following World War II, such as the use of DDTs, a colourless, tasteless, odourless compound that was made to wipe out pests like fire ants and mosquitoes. In this 1947 film, this British officer tries to convince the skeptical African natives that DDTs are so safe he can spray it onto his porridge and eat it.
Arab Kipkoy is the chief spokesman and states his objections with eloquence. He says that the new medicine is a bad poison that may exterminate the whole tribe.
And he was right, because fun fact, DDTs cause cancer. Wait, that's not fun. So, do you still want that porridge?
I'd rather have a bowl of nuclear waste.
And this pesticide was widely sprayed over populated areas, towns and private land, killing birds and other wildlife. The US government responded to Carson's accusations with a public service film, Fire Ants on Trial.
Construction gangs and utility crews have tried various ways to avoid them. Trouble is, fire ants can't read.
But when the book was released, it swayed public opinion. Carson died of breast cancer in 1964, but a decade after Silent Spring's publication, DDTs were banned from agricultural uses, and the EPA was created. The movement to protect the environment had begun, with a celebration 2 months later dubbed Earth Day.
What's the solution to pollution? The answer was, you are.
Earth Day has been held as an annual event since the 1970s, but it wasn't until the 90s did it become a global event across 141 countries. And this 20th anniversary was met with the 1990 Earth Day special. Now, you would think that a show with a lineup that included Robin Williams, The Muppets, The Golden Girls, and Bugs Bunny would be a lot of fun.
This was a great place to live, till man set foot on it.
Jeez, Bugs Bunny, I'm sorry, what did I do to you? See, I thought this would be like Red Nose Day, where you'd gather a bunch of funny people, they do their thing, and every now and again you're reminded of what it's all for. But for some bizarre reason, they gave this special a plot. Bette Midler plays Mother Earth, who denounces mankind for making her sick.
Mama, is it the hole in the ozone? Wear a hat!
And she lays in a hospital dying whilst people either come on stage and do little speeches about what they did wrong or promise to make lifestyle choices while watching the events on TV.
Yeah, it sure gets pretty good reception here in the swamp.
Then Doc Brown turns up with warnings about the future whilst being just a full-on doomer.
You want me to believe this is the future?
No, this is the present.
And then E.T. for God's sake. And then E.T. shows up handing out books to children on how to fix everything. And then the kids inspire enough hope that Mother Earth can walk again and... What the bloody hell is this? There's the occasional cutaway to actual environmental action, but this special's focus is on being a dreary outlook, laying on the guilt trip and blaming absolutely everyone.
And it's all your fault.
This also influenced other cartoon and TV shows throughout the 90s, combined with the Children's Television Act of 1990 that demanded that they contained educational and informative messaging. So there'd often be the very special episode dedicated to the environment about some kids who are invested in cleaning or recycling, but then a problem would suddenly pop up like a evil factory or a pollution monster, and after a brief fight, everything is suddenly better again. The problem is dealt with as fast as it arose. Sometimes this is done in the post-credits moral lesson.
Being productive is cool, but don't trash the environment.
Or it's made as a criticism of eco-terrorists who go to extremes just to be heard.
I have no quarrel with these eco-terrorists in principle. It's their methods I can't condone.
But like the Earth Day special, there would be downers, the sad ending just to make a point. The most infamous example of this is the finale of Dinosaurs.
Are we gonna move?
Well, no. There's no place to move to.
In 1994, the funny dinosaur puppet sitcom dropped all the laughs for a harrowing ending whereby destroying ecosystems, using toxic pesticides and dropping actual bombs, they brought on an ice age and thus their own extinction.
Dinosaurs have been on this earth for 150 million years. And it's not like we're going to just disappear.
A shocking but heartfelt message about climate change as they can only look on helplessly at the bleak midwinter. God, this is depressing. Were things really that bad? In 1980, President Jimmy Carter issued a report to hypothesize what the year 2000 would be like, based on current trends if there were zero changes, if there were no efforts to look after the environment. This led to the Global 2000 report, which predicted significant damage to the ozone layer, extensive deforestation, acid rain, plant and animal extinctions, famine, and that your great-great-great-granddaughter is pretty fine. It may have been a worst-case scenario, but this provided the framework for many of these campaigns, and CNN founder Ted Turner handed this report to executive producer Barbara Pyle, and this would form the blueprint for the blue-skinned eco-hero, Captain Planet.
And here he is.
Hello.
Where Gaia, the mother of Earth, and, hey, wait a minute, gathers up a group of kids to fight environmental causes, each given unique superpowers with a magic ring. But when those powers combine, it summons Captain Planet to save the day and the world. Roll credits. Launched in 1990, the same year as the Earth Day special, it set out with the mission to teach kids how they can make a difference.
I wonder what streaming services Captain Planet is on. Oh, okay, there's 3 seasons on Apple TV and Amazon. This is an app called Just Watch, who are the sponsors of this video. If you don't want to waste time Googling around or searching every streaming service for a particular movie or TV show, Just Watch is the free and ultimate streaming guide. Like, seriously, I use this app a lot, and this was before they sponsored me. And that's not, oh, he's paid to say that talk. Like, when I made the video about spoof movies, it was incredibly useful to just, like, use that to search which streaming service had what film, saving me a ton of money and plastic. And Captain Planet would be thrilled if there was less plastic around. It's updated daily, and it has a ton of great features, such as making watch lists, find out what's new in one consolidated place, and it can play directly to your smart TV with just one tap. The Just Watch app is available on iOS and Android, and again, it's free. I don't even have a promo code to give you, because it's free. So click the link in the description, so they know I sent you. And try it out today. Now we're done with saving money, let's save the planet!
Power is yours.
The responsibility of Earth's problems falls onto these 5 kids. Kwame with Earth, Wheeler with Fire, Linka with Wind, Guy with Water, and Marty with Heart. Now I know there's the ongoing joke that Heart is the most useless power.
Heart attack!
But it turns out Heart has a number of uses. It can locate people, use telepathy to talk to people or animals, it can calm emotions, it can even sense danger. It's basically psychic powers, which are always useful.
Heart is the coolest power of them all.
You want to know which power is the most useless? Fire.
What did he say?
Being a kids show, they can't just incinerate people, so fire is only used to scare people away. After all, this is an educational, non-violent show. This is an educational, non-violent show. So, as fire is a purely destructive power, for a team who fights for the environment, it only makes things worse.
No problem. I'll just burn a hole in this wall.
Wheeler, don't! One spark and these chemicals could explode like a bomb.
Gee, I didn't think of that.
Even in situations where there is a fire, he can't put it out. Wheeler isn't a firebender, he can only make more fire.
I mean, anyone can do that. Watch this!
So other than melting ice or cutting the occasional rope, most of the time, fire is useless.
That door is toast! Hey!
Next time, try the doorknob.
And that is reflected in Wheeler himself. For you see, if the Planeteers were Pokemon, Marty would be a Mewtwo, and Wheeler would be a dickhead.
Am I one stupid dude?
And this was intentional. Wheeler was designed to be the least knowledgeable about the environment, in some ways a dig at the US government at the time, who were, in Barbara Pyle's words, being completely obstructionist at the 1992 Rio Earth Summit, such as refusing to sign a treaty that would have facilitated sharing conservation resources across the world, even though every other UN member has signed it, and 30 years later, the US is still the only one who hasn't signed it. So Wheeler, the North American of the group, is still playing catch-up with the rest of the world.
I never saw so many poor people. Why don't they get real jobs and get off the street?
But this places him to be a more everyman character, not some nasty person who pollutes on purpose, but a regular guy who may just be oblivious to any harm they may be causing to the environment. Like, as they're literally on their way to save some elephants, Wheeler thinks this is a great time to buy a ivory necklace.
Everyone knows Africa's the best place to get ivory real cheap. Cheap!
This allows him to be something of a vessel for the audience, so stuff can be explained to him, which is in turn being explained to the kids watching.
You were supposed to set an example for countless others.
In much of these conservation efforts, there's a big fixation on getting kids involved. It's suggestive that it's easier to influence the minds of kids than to change the minds of adults, and if they can get across the message of the 3 R's,
reduce, reuse, and recycle,
then this would become a habit rather than a conscious effort. And in a manner, this worked. Plastic straws are being phased out, single-use plastic bags carry an extra charge, so they're discouraged, and recycle collections are being made increasingly more convenient. These changes are now normal, everyday things. But why is this pressure to fix the environment always placed on kids?
All I'm saying is the world would be different if it were in the hands of children.
The youth of today are more empowered than ever to make their voices heard, but with every generation we're like,
sorry kids, we fucked up. It's your turn to fix it. Clean up on Earth!
At the 2019 UN Climate Summit, Greta Thunberg famously called out this bullshit.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school, on the other side of the ocean. Yet, you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
By placing the expectation on kids to change the world, all we're doing is kicking the can down the road, and that can is recyclable. But why do we demand the most change from those least powerful to change it? In one episode, Wheeler wants to quit so badly he goes back in time to prevent himself becoming a Planeteer. He's then shown an alternate future where not much has changed but we live underwater. He agrees to return, but isn't that so grim? Trapped with the responsibility for the whole planet rather than be allowed to live his life? So what about Captain Planet? He's powerful, why can't he just fix everything for us? Because the man is a glass cannon. He can't even handle Hitler. He's a hero who fights pollution, but his one weakness is pollution. He can be knocked down instantly, and as the kids can't use their powers when the cap is out, it's down to them to wash him down and then point him to the sun like he's a Wally to recharge. And this was done on purpose to ensure that the Planeteers didn't just stand back and do nothing. Can't have the kids doing nothing, like the time they watched helplessly whilst Captain Planet was force-fed raw sewage. That's a thing that happened. Thanks for that show. When Ted Turner pitched the name Captain Planet to Barbara Pyle, she asked him to elaborate. He responded, "That's your problem." And that's the dominating message of this show. Kids, fix the world for us. How? That's your problem. Captain Planet tells us in every episode,
the power is yours!
But to do what? What do we actually do? While the plots are generally superhero hijinks and the occasional weird shit,
let's hear you say something.
At the end of every episode is the Planeteer Alert, the moral message tentatively connected to the episode itself and a chance to deliver a clear message to the audience. How can we save the planet?
I want you to join me and the Planeteers in saving our planet.
Okay.
You can fight oil spills.
Oil spills? You got it, Cap. What do I need to do?
By encouraging your family not to waste gasoline and other fuels.
Okay.
Turn off your lights in your house when you don't need them.
How does that...
If you're only going a short distance, walk or ride a bike.
This doesn't seem helpful at all. Hey, I'm going.
So there's quite a distance between the large-scale eco-disaster and the action it advises.
Our world can be a place of peace or a battlefield.
Okay, Captain Planet. How do I stop war?
Why fight when it's smarter to make friends?
That way, everybody
Thousands of old growth trees are cut down every day.
Ah, cutting down trees. Okay, I can handle this one.
What can you do?
I am ready, Cap.
Ask your parents to help you write a letter to your head of state saying you're against cutting down old growth forests.
Write a letter. Okay, wait, isn't this made of paper? I'm making things worse.
There's a few instances where, for lack of any direct action, they can only instruct you to write to a politician and ask them nicely.
Write a letter to your congressperson to support our environmental laws.
But I'm in the UK. I don't have a congressperson. I'll write to Father Christmas is dead.
There's a couple of episodes centered on the '92 Rio Summit where the audience is encouraged to send leaves in the mail.
We are all part of the Tree of Life.
To show your support, draw a leaf on a postcard and send it to your head of state.
This ties into the Tree of Life project, held in the accompanying Global Forum Convention, which had a tree-shaped structure, its branches adorned with 1 million hand-drawn leaves from children across the world. A symbol of optimism, which, as we know, the Bush administration ignored and refused to sign the Biodiversity Treaty.
It is never easy to stand alone on principle.
Principles, huh? Gee, George, kind of sounds more like you had an election coming up. How did that work out for you, buddy? So this begs the question, what difference can we actually make? It should go without saying that none of this stuff is bad, of course. Recycling, planting trees, picking up litter, these are all good things that do overall good for the environment. That's not in dispute. A couple of episodes promote the EPA green lights, which saves energy and lasts longer than regular light bulbs.
So buy green and save green.
This program, later becoming Energy Star, included other household appliances and was very successful in lowering emissions.
So, hooray! It made a difference.
Department of Environmental Protection. We are going to get rid of it in almost every form. We're going to have little tidbits left, but we're going to take a tremendous amount out.
Trump's huge budget cuts nearly wiped out the Energy Star program completely. You see, Energy Star also rate buildings for their energy efficiency. And on a scale from 1 to 100, Trump's Mayfair Hotel got a 1. And as of 2015, his other hotels have mostly garbage scores, with only 1 being certified. These Energy Star ratings can affect a building's value, so a certified building is worth more money than an uncertified hotel, building.
Now, if a president tried to change the law so that his properties are worth more money sounds like a conflict of interest to you, that's because it is, and it didn't work.
But it just goes to show that even when a campaign is working, more powerful people can just take it away again. In the show, there's a fixation on blaming people.
How can people do this?
How can people do this?
Will people ever learn?
But what people? From the way this is often framed, it seems to be the general public?
It does not matter to you where he dumps your trash? It's not our problem. I cannot believe these people.
But is that fair? Take, for example, episodes about car pollution.
When you see people polluting our planet, let them know it's time to change.
Ugh, I'm getting so sick of people. What do we do, Cap?
Some people want to drive the biggest car on the road.
But no matter what size the car is, it's important to keep it tuned up.
Huh?
And when you get your own cruiser,
keep it tuned up and your tires properly inflated. Remember, drive safe, drive clean.
What about just not owning a car?
What, to be stupid?
Following the decline of the American streetcar in the 50s, the motor car took over the streets. It wasn't ideal, but along with the introduction of highways, it became necessary and created a dependency on fossil fuels. Ironically, this dependence on cars made owning your first car synonymous with gaining independence, your freedom, and a rite of passage. It was unthinkable to not own a car. This would gradually improve the slow rollout of hybrid cars and electric cars. But even then, Captain Planet is weirdly skeptical of environmental technological advances.
Sometimes I am thinking technology is bad.
I wish I had your faith in technology, Guy.
We all want to believe there are easy solutions to Earth's problems.
Okay then what about public transport? Boston is trialling out fare-free buses, which is an excellent step in the right direction. What does Captain Planet think of that?
Ride the train or a bus whenever you can.
Ah, but what if I'm in an area that doesn't have mass transit?
If your area doesn't have mass transit, ask your parents or a teacher to write your local government and ask for it.
More letters? Oh, God damn it!
So people are getting the blame in situations where they have no other choice. But there's an even greater threat to the environment. Babies. Several episodes raise great concerns for overpopulation.
If the number of people on our planet keeps growing the way it is, soon there will be too many people everywhere.
I think everyone should have fewer children.
Oh no! Now there's more people?
These concerns were in the Global 2000 report, something that Ted Turner himself has also echoed.
We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff.
And it might sound like it kinda makes sense. If there's more people, then that requires more resources, thus creating more pollution.
The more people there are, the more pressure we put on our planet.
During the COVID lockdown, seeing wild animals in the street inspired the meme, "Humans are the virus." So fewer people is better for the environment, and even the economy, right? Except the population of the country doesn't align with the amount of emissions they produce. Let's take food. Populations can keep growing, but the resources to make food might seem finite.
But remember that the Earth's resources are limited.
Even if that was true, what if humans also advanced methods of producing food? Science and technology can create agricultural advances. 1/3 of the food we currently produce every year is wasted anyway. And famine isn't just running out of food, but down to failings in institutions and capitalism. As for pollution, even if 750 million people in China, India and Africa's poorest areas were Thanos snapped away, it would not make a dent compared to the amount of carbon emissions major companies produce on a normal day. The myth of overpopulation is rooted in white supremacy, and it has motivated mass shootings. It is a product of eco-fascism. One of these episodes is even titled Population Bomb, after the 1968 book, which targets non-white people. Uh-oh! To be 1000% clear, I am absolutely not suggesting that the creators of this show are white supremacists at all. And to their credit, they tried to change gears in later seasons by addressing class differences.
I just don't get why people bring kids into the world when they can't provide for them.
What, only the rich have a right to have children?
Ted Turner has tried to suggest controlling the number of babies families should have, despite having 5 kids of his own. Whether you agree that overpopulation is a problem or not, if parents want 5 kids, 1 kid, or no kids, if they want to keep their baby or abort it, the choice is up to the individual. So Cap, just leave the babies alone. No, Captain Planet, stop! So if people are not to blame, who is?
Don't be part of the pollution, be part of the solution.
What's a superhero without his rogues gallery? Dr. Blight representing the terrors of technology, Hoggish Greedley representing greed, and Duke Nukem, no not that one, damn, representing nuclear radiation.
It's no use, Captain Plankton. I'm sucking you dry.
So if these are the villains, then what are their motivations?
Pollute!
They just really like making pollution. There's no nuance, it's just being bad for bad's sake.
I love the smell of pollution.
There's signs of law, like Hoggish Greedley's grandfather who goes from real estate to conservation, and the mystery behind Dr. Blight's face scar. In fact, why are the villains shown to be either disfigured or overweight? Anyway, the villains have no depth because they serve as strawmen. And by trying to simplify a problem, they've created a new problem. By making the villains subhuman who pollute just for fun, it diminishes the problem's cause to the environment by boiling it down to just being one nasty guy we need to beat up, and then we save the day. Hooray! Captain Planet wasn't alone in this. This is a formula used by a lot of shows at that time. But the problem is, it's trying to be non-political about a subject that's very political. You'll notice I've mentioned politics throughout this video because you can't separate the two. It's how the world is run. And in a way, it shouldn't be political. We all live on this planet. We all like clean air and water. The villain isn't a bad human, but a bad system. I could throw my trash outside my window and it would not come close to the amount of pollution caused by billionaires and their fucking boats. Oh my god! The villain, Loot and Plunder, yes that's his name, subtext is for cowards, is the show's corrupt businessman, Captain Planet's version of the capitalist.
Money is all that matters. Money and power!
But his business practices are still clearly illegal, such as in one episode where he teams up with the other villains to pollute the water supply in order to sell his own. He's not using the system for his gain. Like, just a year ago, Nestle were ordered to cease redirecting natural Californian spring water, which was causing droughts in nearby states, while selling their own bottled water back to them. But this was done with federal permits. This was legal. In Plunder's case, it offers no criticism. He's just ultimately one bad individual. However, in one episode, the Planeteers actually lose. We're back to our downer endings. Hooray! Loot and Plunder is cutting down trees, but uses the courtroom to his advantage.
Taxpayers foot the bill, Plunder walks away with a monster profit.
So what? It's perfectly legal, Your Honor.
They try to fight a legal battle, but ultimately, they fail. Wow, this could be a bold commentary on the legal system, how it's not safe from corruption, how it could be exploited and—
No matter where you get your dog or cat, be sure to have it vaccinated and spayed or neutered.
Oh, okay.
And you might think they're not going to go that deep. This is a kids show. Except it's not afraid to push the limits. like a baby whale swimming in the blood of its own mother. Non-violent. Sometimes Captain Planet dealt with other controversial topics, like AIDS.
AIDS is the best thing to come along since the Black Plague.
Ooh. And drugs. So Linka's cousin Boris gets addicted to a made-up drug called Bliss, which turns people into zombies.
Okay, Wheeler, think. If you were a zombie, where would you go? The Vice President's office!
The mindless horde storm the US Capitol building. Boris crashes through a window, which cuts his wrist and causes him to actually die. Nothing makes this shift in tone more jarring than them doing their little "Go Planet" pose stood over the dead guy's body. And what message does this episode send?
Well, nobody made him take the drug. He did that to himself.
This surprisingly unsympathetic response falls in line with the Just Say No campaign of the 80s and 90s, part of the war on drugs, and analysis suggests it didn't work. This clunky handling of sensitive subjects applies to gang crime.
Got to re-educate the wrecking crew that we are what's happening here now.
The Planeteers go undercover in a inner city school to find out who shot a teacher and infiltrate rival gangs, and hey! Velma and Shaggy? Zoinks! It's a gun! Tensions rise until Guy gives a lecture in guilt by association.
Maybe you didn't pull the trigger or start the fire, but you may as well have. As long as you continue telling your gangs to use guns and violence, you're to blame too.
Well, maybe you didn't piss the bed, but by sharing a bed with me, you're to blame too.
Then images flash in front of their eyes whilst I Have a Dream plays out, because it turns out that gang violence has nothing to do with systemic racism, redlining, poverty or police brutality. All the gangs needed to do was just be a bit more nice.
Peace or war, it's your choice.
That sounds like a threat.
And if you're not prepared to tackle those because it's just a kid's show, then why bring them up? Why bring up complicated topics like the Northern Ireland Troubles, apartheid, and the Gaza Strip in the same episode, and then reduce it to, why can't we all just get along? This helps no one. It's just patronizing and classist.
But why gangs?
Because they're vermin! Just like me.
Like making one of the main villains a garbage disposal man.
I don't make the trash, people do.
Or portraying workers who cut down trees as being callous and heartless.
This would clear the land a whole lot faster than my bulldozer.
They seem to U-turn on this idea, showing the heartless loggers are actually just robots, whilst the regular workers are considerate but are often just following orders.
Okay, men. The boss says we cut right to the river.
Except they U-turn again back to being purely spiteful, but now they're massive idiots. I'm being harshly critical of this show, but I did enjoy my time with it. It was fun adventures, and some parts actually made me laugh.
Ejecting.
I don't believe there's a single bad intention behind any of this show. I believe there was a genuine effort to do good. But when something is sending a message, it's important to understand what that message is really saying.
The future of the world looks pretty bleak for all of us.
When it comes to saving the planet, it's impossible to say how the kids were impacted and if Captain Planet actually changed things for the better. When Captain Planet made a cameo 20 years later in OKKO, he even admits their efforts didn't work.
Climate change is permanent. The Planeteers and I tried to fight it ourselves many years ago. But things just got worse and worse.
And Rick and Morty's twisted parody version, even through her extremist eco-terrorism viewpoint, reaches an almost similar conclusion.
Those innocent miners voted men into power to protect their precious jobs so they can buy more plastic garbage and eat the corpses of tortured animals. The system is broken, Morty.
So is that it? Did Captain Planet fail to make a difference? Well, the Planeteer Movement is an organization inspired by the show that works together for environmental causes, such as Litter of Light, which reuse plastic bottles to make long-lasting lights, especially for poorer areas. Barbara Pyle insisted any Captain Planet merchandise was made as eco-friendly as possible, like a colouring book made of recycled paper, and a water-powered watch that needed no batteries. She then used the revenue to form a charity, the Captain Planet Foundation, which provides grants for environmental programs such as growing food in school gardens to help feed families during COVID lockdowns. While the show may have sent out some mixed messages, the overall message has inspired some incredible things, even today. So, what now?
I'm sure you think this is the part of the video where I am now supposed to tell you how we saved the planet, but I don't know. Down, alright? I'm not a politician, I'm not a president or a member of royalty, I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire. I have no power to create any change. I'm not even an activist, I'm a dumb YouTuber. All I can do is look after my own little patch. Recycling paper and glass, reusing old boxes for storage, donating clothes to charity, encouraging others to do the same, you know, small things. But if everyone else does the same thing, looking after their own little patches, then maybe together it would form like a patchwork quilt. You know, it may just be small things, but what if it was a lot of small things? Maybe that would be enough? Oh, there's activism and protests, of course, but to save the world, to change the system, then that's going to require something a bit more radical. As Captain Planet says, the power is yours.
Go Planet!
Be sure to recycle your glass and paper. And stop capitalism. Don't cut down trees, but do overthrow capitalism. Turn off the lights when you're not using them. And destroy capitalism by any means necessary. You know what I mean.
It seems folks have had enough of your dirty politics.
Special thanks to my patrons, including Ashley Kinder, Lyra Faye, Drifter Wolf, Vinny Vex, Rusty Robot, Ashley Bird McCarthy, Leif Andromeda, Mo Alkasemi, Satsune Wave, Sloan Schoolcraft, Friscara, Nathan Chawinati, Tom Lemonteeth, Aaron is Chummy, Brett Halford, Jake Pinkerton, Matthew Smith, Louis Weston, Joe Wood, Joel the Gay Noodle Jennings, Mark Cunner, Clam Wantley, and Liam Deeney. And if you would like to support me, then please consider doing so on Patreon. And if you're interested in learning more about the environment, please check out these recommended YouTube channels.